Business owners are why we're here. We're here to hopefully look at what's it take for me to own a business. I'm not going to talk a lot about COVID today. I'm going to talk about being a great business owner through good times, through bad times, through tough times, through resiliency, whatever it takes. That's why you're here, because we got some work to do. Am I right? So those of you online, welcome as well. I'm going to have this as participation type event. We're coaches here. We coach, which means that we want to try to involve everybody. We want to try to have some level of accountability, and we also want to answer questions. This is interactive. So I will get some cues from the back. Any of you who are already here, I'll obviously take your questions. I'm going to walk you through the papers that are on your desk in a minute. For those of you online, we're going to be posting a link to the papers that are online, that we have on the desk here. I will go through them in a minute, but I'm going to give everybody who's online a chance to download them and have a look at them. They are important. There's a couple things on here that we really will go deep on. There's going to be a bit of math today because we're business owners. So we're not here to talk about necessarily fluffy things. We're here to talk about how we're going to grow our businesses, especially through this time. I put up this 5 stages of grief. I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I think we're embodied in it. We're not trapped by it. We're working through it. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story as a coach, and I'm going to ask you permission if I can be your coach today. Who here has had a coach in this room? Sports coach, whatever. Oh, everybody, congratulations. That's excellent. So I'm going to tell you my story of coaching, and I'm going to explain to you what coaching will be for us in this room, and hopefully those of you online as well. So as we get started this, I'll tell you a little bit about me. This is our firm, ActionEdge Business Coaching. We are a proud franchise owner of ActionCOACH. ActionCOACH is in 84 countries. We have about 2,000 coaches around the world, and we impact businesses every day. We actually measure our success by how many employees our franchise partners hire. That's a metric we're really proud of, actually. I started with the biggest company in the world years ago when I was in my 20s. I actually fixed MRI and CAT scan machines for Siemens. They gave me business training. They gave me technical training. I loved it. But about 13 or 14 years in, I said, hey, you know what? I think I want to be a business owner. I want to be self-employed. I think that's probably what was my first thing I said. I want to be self-employed. And I didn't really understand this difference between being a business owner and being self-employed. And so I actually bought my own little bike shop. It was a boutique bike shop. It was about the size of a broom closet in Canmore. We grew that business into a world-renowned bicycle shop called Rebound Cycle that it is today. My wife, along the way, said, let's buy a restaurant. So we got Tapas Canmore going. We grew that into a top 100 restaurant in Canada. We just sold it actually during COVID to a very amazing chef, Chef Tracy. She's going to take it to another level. But the idea that I had when I was owning these businesses was, how do I impact other people? Because people kept asking me, how do you hire? How do you fire? How'd you buy inventory? How'd you grow? And so I started working with companies like Shimano and Brooks Running, Thule, Camelback, a lot of sporting goods industry because that's where my passion was, but also cities like City of Prince George, helping them understand how they bring people together to grow a business, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Okay, everybody ready? 6 most expensive words in business are, we've always done it that way. We've always done it that way. So as we move through this, we're going to look at some ways to challenge what we've done. This element of redesign I'm going to talk about a little bit today. Could be with our employees, could be with our team, could be with our cash flow. But I want us to all think about this because there's no sense going through doing what we're doing here and doing stuff the same way. So the 6 steps for a great business we've really been designed to address that. It's as coaches in ActionCOACH, how we break down fundamentally core areas of the business that we coach on. Now, I'm only going to go through about 4 of them today. And those 4 I'll break down in quite a bit of detail. The rest I'll leave you with, and I'll kind of describe what they are as we get going. But this is the tenet of everything we're going to talk about today, because The definition of a small business for us is a commercial profitable enterprise. But if you learn anything about the story I told about my brother, is it's got to work without you. So here's the 6 steps. As I told you, we're going to go over mastery, niche, leverage, and team in quite a bit of detail today. Synergy, we're not. Results, we're not. Those are things that we definitely focus on, but they're more as our coaching journey gets going. Mastery, if this looks like a house, well, mastery is the ground floor, it's the foundation. I'm going to spend some time there. It's something we find that most people skip over. Niche is where we have cash flow, leverage is our systems, and team is, well, that's our team. How many people here have team working for them? Please, almost everybody. Okay, excellent. So, let's start with mastery because there's 4 areas I want to break down, and you'll see now on your profit finder, that's really where we can start with destination mastery, okay? So destination mastery is really, if you think about that element of the 5 stages of grief, having that vision, that is the thing we need to recheck on right now. It's the thing that people often skip over. You can imagine as coaches, when someone first starts here, what's the first thing they always tell us we got to work on? You want to guess? They walk in this door, they said, I want to coach. Guess the first thing they say they need? Customers, yeah. Leads. Leads. Any more leads? More leads, more customers. Kevin, why are we talking about vision? I need more leads. Give me leads. Believe me, it happens all the time. And it's some of the hardest things to do is say, okay, we're going to get you your leads, don't worry. But until we figure out vision, mission, and culture, we don't have anything, because these are the things that will burn your business down faster than you can imagine. Money mastery is the next. This is one area we find people often struggle with because, well, I don't know how many of you online can say this. How many of you in this room can say they are their own bookkeeper? Anybody can say that? A couple of you, okay. It's the one area I want to move you away from because you're not, financial mastery doesn't come from bookkeeping. We need somebody to do it properly. I can guarantee you, if you have your eyes on the books at the QuickBooks level, for instance, your eyes are not somewhere else where they need to be. QuickBooks has done, hopefully there's no QuickBooks people online today, but they've done a remarkable job of letting us believe QuickBooks can take care of all of us and it's easy, but it's not. I'll tell you right now, it's sad, but it's honest. If someone comes into this office and it's too late, they want to start coaching and it's too late, the number one common reason is they're in arrears with taxes because they missed something doing the books themselves. You need to have monthly reports, which is what we insist as coaches you have. Then we work with you monthly to then work with your accountant. Most people meet with their accountant when? Tax time, or year at the end of year end. But are your year end statements done at year end? They're normally done 3 to 4 months after year end is over. So if year end is December 31st, you're meeting with your accountant on when? April 1st. A third of your year is almost gone. How are you making decisions for this next year when 1/3 is already gone and all the mistakes you made that maybe will show up in your balance sheet or financial statement then? Well, we're already behind the 8 ball. So, third area, mastery. Again, you can follow along here. Check off the boxes you're not doing, but time mastery is critical. Besides financial mastery, it's probably the next in line for what most business owners suffer from, what they're afflicted with. And I have a very interesting way I'm going to coach you right now, and those of you online, on how to do time mastery. Because can we master time? I don't think we can, right? Tell me your thoughts there. Yeah, I think the only thing I can manage is myself. My calendar, what I do with it. Time is going to go on whether I drop dead right now or whether I go on to be the most successful business coach in the world. Time's going to go on. The only thing I can master is myself. And, living in Canmore, I've learned some remarkable lessons from my neighbors and even my landlords. Landlords of our restaurant were Thomas Grandy and Sarah Renner, 2 Olympic athletes. What I learned from them, being my friends and my landlords, was something critical. I never thought about it until I started thinking about it from a business coaching perspective. Olympic athletes, what is their timeline for success in general? 4 years. What's our timeline for success as we look in business generally? Okay, 4 to 7 years, but typically 4 to 5 years, we could set some pretty good milestones, yeah? Guess what? The Olympic athlete today, if their discipline is cross-country skiing, the 25K, 4 years from now, they know the time they have to ski to win the gold medal and get the world record time. They know today. I'm going to ask you, do any of you have that level of clarity of your profitability in 4 years from now? What your KPI? You don't. But they do. And guess what they do? They take their calendar and they work backwards in 90-day blocks to today, and they build a program to get them to where they need to go. 4th area is delivery mastery. Delivery mastery is the easiest thing to conceptualize up here. It's the easiest thing for me to coach on because having owned a restaurant, a top 100 restaurant for 13 years, our restaurant had a couple thousand 5-star reviews. A couple thousand. Now, that's not because I was a great coach or great business owner, my wife was, it's because our team knew, here's the remarkable thing about the restaurant industry, everybody, and the online, if you're in the restaurant industry, God love you. What happens 30 seconds after a bad restaurant experience? Someone goes online and leaves you a 1-star review. Every server that worked for me knew that if they did not deliver at a 5-star level, there was going to be a 1-star result. Why do we not look at this from our own perspective? If you knew tomorrow the phone call from 9 to 9:30 you were going to take, I was going to rank you out of a 5-star on Google, would you prepare for that call better? Yeah. But we never hold ourselves that same level of accountability. If you've been a server, you know it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. Because to deliver delivery master at a 5-star level takes an incredible amount of dedication. We need to have that same expectation on us, and we need to coach that down into our employees. So I want you to all think about what's maybe 1 or 2 activities that you're doing that are not 5-star rateable right now. That's delivery mastery. The other side of delivery mastery is making sure that we bring in products or services we can make money on. That's that supply chain aspect. But deal with 5-star suppliers. So we're going to move to niche, which is marketing and money and where cash flow is, but also is where profit lives. If I were to ask anyone that came in here, maybe you all here, maybe you online, by the way, any questions coming in?
What types of businesses do you typically coach?
Oh, well, that's a great question, but there's really no business we don't coach because every business needs coaching. So me personally, I've coached one of the largest strawberry farms in Canada. I've coached one of the leading dermatologists in the world. We've coached upholstery companies. We coach one of the biggest blind companies in Calgary. We've coached gas stations. We coach every type of business you can imagine because it's this element of, again, getting that owner, growing the owner, okay? So that's a great question. Back to this though. If I were to ask all of you, what are the key things that drive your company's growth? What are they? What are things do you think I normally hear? I'm going to flip the flip chart for a minute. Okay, employees. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yep, don't disagree with that. What else? Customer service. Okay, yep. What are things we might be able to measure though? And if we're talking about niche and numbers and financials, what are the actual key drivers of growth? Past performance. Okay, yeah. History, yeah. Most people, the first thing they say, well, Kevin, it all starts with this. Customers. Pretty hard to disagree with that. I mean, if we can get a business without customers and without products, boy, that'd be nice. I don't know what it would be, but our job is to serve customers, so you're not wrong there. Then they go, well, okay, if you're asking me for 3, well, I better have revenue. Again, it's pretty hard to argue with that, right? Customers drive revenue. Revenue drives what the third thing? Bottom of our financial statement is profit. So those are things that generally, when I start talking to a business owner, that's where their level of vision is. Those 3 things. There's a fatal flaw in that thinking, though. And the flaw is, do we control the number of customers in our business that are going to come in tomorrow when we get back there? Can we snap our fingers and get a customer? No. We don't control how many customers we have. There's something else that controls that. If we don't control customers, then do we control this? No. And if we don't control this, we definitely don't control that. So there's things at play here that we don't have written on this piece of paper. I'm going to tell you right now, the first one is leads. Leads, what are leads? Potential customers, yeah. People who don't yet know necessarily how to do business with us, but they've maybe been introduced to us. Do we control the number of leads that come into our business? Yep, we do. Number of our marketing, our number of referrals, different channels we put our message in. Leads times conversion. Oops. Leads times conversion equals customers. What's conversion? How successful we are at getting a lead to become a customer. First thing we see here is there's an equal sign in front of customers. The thing that we thought that was most important is now the first product of 2 things that we said we control. If we have customers, well, we need to make sure that they buy at a level that we need them to, and we need to make sure that they come back and buy from us again. I always say a buyer buys from me once, a customer repeats. I can fool anybody into buying from me one time, believe me. So customers times average dollar sale times repeat business equals revenue. Well, revenue times margin, there's only one thing left. How many dollars I keep after I bring my revenue in, that equals my profit. So here's the thing. The 3 things we said were most important are products of how many things that we control? 5. Thank you. So it's these 5 things I want to break down now. Now, there's no secrets here. If you flip over your profit finder, those of you just scroll down to page 2 online, you're going to see we have something called the 5 ways. And we're going to do a bit of math right now. Because this is the math that unbelievably most people never do. Believe me, I've been in front of CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies who never thought about their business this way, but we must. Let's throw some numbers in here. Let's keep this real. So, first thing is leads, correct? Let's just pick a yeah.
We have a question.
Yeah.
Online. It says, I have trouble getting a second purchase from our customers. They seem happy but don't come back regularly.
Okay.
We get customers to come back regularly.
Awesome. So what I'll tell you is we're going to break down. I'm not going to leave any of you hanging here. I'm not going to say, well, here's the things and let's go off and we'll think about them. We'll get into some strategies of how we might increase every one of these 5 things as I go. So great question. I'm glad they asked it. Let's just say, for the point of simple math, I might need some of you to pull a calculator out here, that we get, yeah. We're good? Okay. Let's just say for simple math, I'll grab some of you to grab your iPhone calculators. Let's say we have 4,000 leads come into our company. This is our company. We're going to grow it together. 4,000 leads are coming in the door a year. Not a staggering amount, but you think about web and phone, and maybe we place a newspaper ad, maybe emails come in, maybe some referrals. We have 4,000. And let's say, just again for simple math, I convert 1 out of every 4 of those leads. What's my conversion rate if I convert 1 out of 4? 25%, great one. Okay, 4,000 times a conversion rate of 25% gives me how many customers at the end of the year? 1,000? Thank you. Now, we're not done yet. Let's say that I'm successful at selling them $100 of my product or service when they come in, and I can get them to come back 2 times during my year. Again, if you're doing the numbers on your profit finder, you can do these numbers to do them, or you can take this back. We'll give you another one. If anybody wants, we'll print out as many as they want. But 1,000 customers buy $100 twice a year. What's my revenue? Should be 200,000, correct? Okay. 200K. And let's say we keep $1 out of every 4, like our conversion. That means our margin's 25%. What's the profit of our little business here, everybody? 50K at the end of 1 year. Okay, not bad. That's actually what's going on in your businesses right now. We just never think about it that way, but that's how we actually generate money. Now let's say we want to grow this business of ours. We're not going to focus on the 3 equal signs. We're going to focus on the how many things that we control? 5. Everybody agree? 5. Okay. So, would it be grandiose to say let's look for a 50% increase in all of them? What should we shoot for? I say if you're going to shoot too high, I'll ask you, why did you get that this year? And most people say no. So let's keep it real. We're going to work together. We've got some coaches involved. Let's just say, can we say 10%? We worked on these 5 things by 10%. Would that make sense? Everybody agree upon that? Okay. So we'll go into some strategies later. 4,000 leads, we grow 10% in year 2. How many leads are we left at the end of year 2 where we have acquired? 10% of 4,000 is? 4,400, correct. You see me going. This is where I might need some calculator here. Again, we're not increasing by 10%. We're just adding on 10%. What's 10% of 25? 2.5. So that would leave us with a 27.5% conversion. One thing I hope you notice is we're not blowing the lights out here. We're keeping it real. 4,400 times a conversion rate of 27.5. What's my new customer acquisition at the end of year 2, everybody? 1,210, okay. Okay, nice increase there. This is easy. If we can't find 10% in our average dollar sale, shame on us. So $110 is our new average dollar sale. And look at this. We don't even have to get a customer to come back 1 full time, because what's 10% of 2? 0.2. So we only have to get, on average, people to come back 2.2 times. Those of you online who asked that question, I want you to think about that for a second. We don't need to get them to come back 4 or 5 times if they're coming twice. On average, we're only looking for 10% in our equation here, as long as we work on the other 4. So 1,210 customers are now buying $110, 2.2 times a year. What's my new level of revenue in my little company, or our little company here? 292,820. Thanks for doing the math. And same thing, 27.5 is my new margin. What's my new profitability, everybody? 80,525 bucks. Wow. How much were we targeting for increasing in our little company, everybody? 10%. What happened here? Yeah, is there any bankers in here? You can be honest. If there's any bankers online, you guys know what this is. This is called a compounding formula, meaning that a 10% increase times a 10% increase gets me a 21% increase. 21% increase times a 10 times a 10 gets me, I don't know, 40. You guys do the math better than me. Probably 47. And another 10% increase is around, exactly what Connor said, about a 61% increase. We got a 61% increase in our profit because we worked on the 5 things that we actually control in very small increments. Now I'm going to tell you, as coaches, this is how we grow businesses. Conversion rate. What's the number one limit to conversion rate? What prevents us from converting, everybody? Messaging? What do you mean?
Inspiring people to buy.
Okay, yeah. I think that that's maybe more in your marketing. I think part of the reason we can't convert is we don't have any sales training. We don't know how to sell. Again, we all said none of us want to be salespeople, so why would we train ourselves to be something we don't want to be? 80% of people who call themselves salespeople still have had no training. That's how to handle objections. What is an objection? Sometimes we take an objection that's not, price is not an objection. Price is an indicator they understand the value, as an example. But a lot of times, most of the time I'm going to submit to you, the reason we have a hard time influencing this is because we don't know how to do it. Let me show everybody know this is the Container Store. I don't know if you've seen them, if you've been in the United States. There's a real store. They sell plastic boxes. That's it. Okay? Here's something amazing about the Container Store. If you work there as a full-time staff member, you must have 300 hours of paid training in your first year to sell containers. You have to have 200 hours as a part-time employee, and you cannot even get on the sales floor until you've had 40 hours of training. I'm going to tell you right now, I've never seen a company that's dedicated to train their people like these guys. They've got amazing customer service as a result, and their team knows all about how to sell. So I really challenge you all to think about the Container Store and say, wow, how much, because a lot of you are selling really complex products and services. And we're throwing our team out there trying to sell them, or we're throwing ourselves out there and we're not successful. That's one of the reasons. Another conversion tool. Clean up your ads. We see so many ads from people that we start coaching that look like this. This is an actual customer that we have coached, an action coach. Custom internet web designs, we bring your customers to. You see this in the back of Coffee News. You see it in the back of your newspaper. You see it everywhere. Maybe they're a little bit better now on Facebook because we can use better digital imaging. But here's what we do. We take this ad and we say, look, real customer, we made a new ad with a USP. What's a USP? It's a unique selling proposition. I'll get into that for a second. And a guarantee. Now, Easy Solution Corp, he realized that everybody in the world needs a website if you have a business. There's a million companies out there who will build you a website. I'm not going to try to tell you my coding's any better or I have better customer service. What I'm going to do, my unique selling proposition is, I'm going to give you 5 questions that you should ask anyone who's about to build a website for you. And they better be able to answer yes to most of them. Number 1, will you keep all my money, or will you give me all my money back if I don't like my design? The answer better be yes to that. Number 2, you can read it. Will you guarantee to keep my website at the top of the search engines? So again, we designed 5 questions, the last one being, how long have you been in business? If you haven't been in business more than an afternoon, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of kids sitting in weeds right now, stealing free Wi-Fi, building websites for companies. And they won't be here tomorrow because they're on to doing something else and people's websites get left hanging. Make sure you find somebody who's been doing it for a while. Funny story, I took this exact strategy with a mover I was coaching. We just copied the whole thing. He was trying to sell moving on Kijiji. And right now, if you go on Kijiji, there's like 10,000 people trying to sell moving trucks. We have a guy with a truck, 4 guys with a truck. It was crazy. And he actually was paying someone in China to keep bumping his Kijiji ad to the top, reposting it. So we said, forget that. Let's make our unique selling proposition something similar. So let's figure out, if you think you're already going to move yourself, you don't need a mover, what are you on Kijiji looking for? Think I'm going to move myself, don't need a mover, what am I looking for on Kijiji? Dolly, boxes, help. So we started thinking, what if we targeted those people? So we did an ad that said, before you move yourself, ask yourself these 5 questions. Number 1, will your brother-in-law show up on the coldest day of the year to help you even though he promised to? Number 2, will you get 50 free boxes, which they gave? Number 3, will your mother-in-law fix the scratch on your hardwood floor after she scratches it moving up a box? See my point here? We gave them the reasons not to do it themselves, and they came with us. In Gary's case here, or Tom's case, I mean, it was $14,400 is what this ad generated in a month and a half. Just by asking different questions and generating this idea of our unique selling proposition is you can't make a mistake if you ask these questions. Once people read that, they're like, well, why wouldn't I just call this guy? Clearly he can ask. He's the one telling me these are the questions to ask. Why wouldn't I ask it? Okay. So conversion is important, both from a how do we get it to how are we, this is kind of what you said, Alan, is what's our message. So leverage is the next step up. And you notice how leverage, if we're working our way from bottom to top, guess why leverage comes before team? Systems come before team? You don't hire people without systems because it just drives us into chaos mode. Systems, by the way, aren't just computers and CRMs. They're processes. Make sure we have processes mapped out. Make sure that we understand who's responsible for what. We have to have systems in place before we put team into place. And the first thing I'll say is make sure that we have a 5-year organizational chart. Here's how we actually, well, first here's the rule. If you do a task without writing it down, you're destined to do it forever. Okay? The last thing I'll ever do in my company here, if someone comes to me, even with a task as simple as changing the toner in the printer, if they say they don't know how to do it, my first reply is, I'm sorry. I haven't clearly not built a process for that. The last thing I do will show them how to do it. I'll say, can you give me a day? Let me systematize this. That's usually with a video. Here's my iPhone, here's me, here's how you unclip the toner, here's how you get it out, here's how you unpackage the new one, here's how you put it in. Process done, filed, go look at it. If you have any questions, get back to me. That has to be done with everything in your business, right down to how do you clean during COVID. And believe me, we have all that. So we systematize because leverage is about saving yourself time, energy, and money, okay? But here's the thing, and here's the mistake most businesses make. This is a really important slide, and I want you all to think about it. When we systematize a business, most businesses start down at number 8. How-to manuals. Well, remember when I said vision and mystery in our destination mastery, vision and mission were going to come back to haunt us if we weren't having it done properly? Look what's on the top of our list here. Why is vision and mission at the top of our systemization list? You got any ideas? Because if we build systems that are not congruent with our vision and mission, we fall flat in our face. We get Rogers. If Rogers is on, anybody from Rogers, I'm sorry, I'll apologize right now. But let me tell you this. Remember I told you I used to fix CAT scan and MRI machines. Back when I was in my 20s, I was the first kid on the block that had a cell phone. Because you cannot have an ICU open without a CAT scan machine. So hospital goes down, the CAT scan machine goes down to Chicago General. I'm on an airplane to go fix it. They call me. So when I was in my 20s, my Rogers cell phone bill was more than my mortgage. Well, my company paid for it, but as a Rogers customer, I'm the top of their heap. I've been a Rogers customer for 32 years now. Every business I've ever had has been built on Rogers platforms. If I call Rogers up right now, guess how long I'm going to wait on hold for? Yeah. Even though they'll tell me I'm their most valuable customer, they're the best that's systems not being connected to their vision. Completely disconnected. Every time I talk to them, I tell them this. You tell me I'm your best customer, 32 years, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Rogers products, yet I get no level of customer support that matches who I am. So vision and mission and culture got to come first. We got to build our systems around that. Okay. Key performance indicator in me in this business is how many months my clients coach with us. Because we don't have year-long contracts here. So every month a client decides, am I going to re-up my coaching or not? Well, our key performance indicator is 63 months. That's our average. 63 months, clients coach with us. Generally, they stop because they're selling their business or they're moving on to something else. But that's a key performance indicator we have to measure, track, and go after. Okay? Then we get into how-to manuals, then we get into measurements and milestones. Very simple slide, but I'm going to tell you, this is something that you can really drill down on when you get back on. I've got a company I'm coaching right now. They're my favorite clients right now, a survey company in Calgary. Their first thing we jumped on was this, and they actually built 3 culture statements around this, and we're focusing on this right now. It doesn't take long to get done. You just got to focus on it, okay? Last thing is team. Team is the most probably profound area of this, although be it's the simplest. I'm a big supporter of team. I love having people with me. I love having an inclusive environment. But I'll tell you right now, when we see businesses that are not doing well, generally it's because as we build a team, the owner is responsible for a lot of different things. You can imagine if a business is struggling, what's the owner taking care of here? Everything. Yeah. If Timmy, my employee, isn't doing a good job and doesn't show up and doesn't care about me, then guess what? The owner has to become Timmy. Take his job that day. And if Timmy pissed off so many people, who do they call in looking to talk to? The owner. And if so many people stop coming to my business, guess who my suppliers are going to call looking for? The thing about this, everybody, is all we need to do as an owners is take care of our team. When we take care of our team, they take care of our customers, they take care of the business, and the business takes care of us. Now, I'm not being flippant in my approach here, trying to simplify this too much. Taking care of team is more complicated than it sounds. Taking care of team means we've got a USP that they can convert at a higher rate with. It means we've given them sales training. It means that we've got key performance indicators that they know how to grow. They know what their targets are. They've got performance-based contracts that they know when they're successful, how they're going to be rewarded. We've got a path to succession for them. The thing I'll show you, this is a great example of where it doesn't happen. Nordstrom Rack in Portland, Oregon. Nordstrom known for its customer service, right? On the way to the staff break room when I was working there, no customer service officers. The management team couldn't even be bothered to put their pictures in there. That's not taking care of team. That's demotivating team. I got great service in that store. Amazing service in that store. As a customer, they should have had something up there. Jim Collins said it better than I'll ever be able to say it. And believe me, I've had people leave this seminar and go back to their business and have to make some changes right away because of this one slide. We need to make sure we have the right people on our bus, and they have to be sitting in the right seat. You have to be the right people on our bus, and they have to be in the right seat. And that the courage to move them to the right seat is ours as owners. Often we'll find Timmys working in one area of our business where we know they're not well suited, would be better suited here, but we got to train them or develop them ourselves to get them there. But that's how we get client retention. Back in my bike shop, Ryan, my all-star general manager, salesperson who could sell ice to an Eskimo, he was supposed to be able to be my inventory manager, manage my $1.5 million of inventory. Couldn't do it. Couldn't handle spreadsheets. Hated them. I found the 15-year-old employee that I hired from Sobeys loved spreadsheets. Guess who in 1 year's time I made my inventory manager? Ruben. And his mom came in my store and said, "Are you crazy? He can't even clean his room up." And he's managing your inventory, he told me. She said, Kevin, you gotta check yourself in somewhere. I said, no, it's his seat on the bus. Ruben stayed with me until he was 21 and he left. He's now one of the highest ranking people in the bike industry for Rocky Mountain and Shimano because of what we did for him when he was 15 and what he did for us. That takes guts, but we did it, okay? So ask yourself this. I'll tell you right now, this company right here, they put their money where their mouth is. Do you know who Zappos is? Online shoe store. If you ever go to Vegas again, if we're ever allowed to, go to Zappos. Call them up. They're in the old Las Vegas City Hall right down in Fremont. They will pick you up in a car for free. They will drive you to Zappos for free. They charge you $20 for the tour, but you get a hardcover book of their values and culture, which is probably worth $40. And then they drive you back after they give you a complete tour. Here's the thing I learned at Zappos, though. This is taking care of team. If you work there and hate it there and don't want to be there, they will write you a check for $2,000 to quit. They will pay you $2,000 and they will walk you out the door because they don't want you there if you don't want to be there. That's taking care of team. So I asked the tour guide, I said, does that happen? She goes, oh, it happens every now and then. I said, what happens after that person's walked out the door? You know what she told me? She said, there's high fives everywhere. Not because that person got $2,000, because that person was a cancer and actually detracted from everybody else. And they were so happy to see that check written. That's taking care of team. That takes guts. The other thing I'll say is Quail's Gate, our Kelowna office, I always look at them. They have got a really interesting, I don't call it promotion. It's when you work for them and they know good people attract good people. Good people's, their friends are generally good people as well. So they have a thing at Quail's Gate where if you work there and you refer a friend and they stay for 6 months, you get $500 as an employee. So again, that's just adding great people to your team for the easiest way you can through the network you already have, okay? So that's team. That's the 4 levels that I'm going to cover today. Synergy is very simple. Once we get you these areas, we keep working on stuff. That's an 8-cylinder engine, firing 8 cylinders. We keep going back and forth, right down to mastery and making sure we have cash flow, making sure we got niche, making sure we have results, maybe looking. You know what? The number thing I'll say about results is when the lady who owns the cupcake store asks us, should I be looking at buying the tire store down the street? That's results. Do you know why that is? Because running the tire store is exactly the same as running the cupcake store. They need leads. They got to convert them to get customers. They got to increase average dollar sale, get them to come back, and they got to get margin. It's exactly the same. It's the most privileged point we get to in coaching is when our clients say, what would it look like if we bought another business? That's what results are. Brad Sugar said this. I think it's one of the most profound things that I think about as I coach, but it's true. Every business is designed perfectly to get the results it's currently getting.